Specter of the Gun is obviously on the surface of it one of those episodes in the later days of Star Trek. This is its third season and final one. As they look for means to save money on them and by not spending so much. So obviously it's all a soundstage, and the props are only sort of halfway there, but they cleverly wrote a reason for it, that it's this surreal environment they're in, because they've encountered the species who have these powerful telepathic abilities, who are testing them to see what they're really about, even though they can read their minds. So, but mind reading is difficult. I mean, if you could read someone's mind, would you really fully know everything they're thinking about when you consider your own thoughts and, when you change your mind and all that? And what would you do in an actual situation? Even you can't be completely sure how you would react until it happens and that sort of thing. So, there's some wiggle room there. It's just like, well, if they could read their minds, then they know whether or not their intention is hostile. But this is the deal. It's this alien species that I don't know if we ever really got to see them. We do see a spectral head floating that's probably made to look scary. I don't know. But the Enterprise is going through space, and they're on this diplomatic mission to open up relations with this mysterious planet and this species known as the Melkotians, I believe. And they run into, they're intercepted by the satellite or buoy or what have you, and it warns them to turn around and don't come here. You're not welcome. And Kirk says, never mind, keep on course. We've, got to make contact. But they probably should be respectful of their wishes, but nevertheless, they do, and they come upon the planet, they beam down, and it's all this foggy place, and then this entity appears to them, and say, well, we warned you, you shouldn't have done it. And the next thing they know, they're in this Old West scenario. And turns out they've been put in the place of the Clanton gang versus the Earp gang, which is the old K Corral moment in history. And the idea is apparently Kirk is a descendant from the people of that era. And they don't really say who, I don't recall, but somebody in Tombstone, the town where this takes place, was an ancestor of Kirk. And so this plays out because he's the leader, and the Melkotians hold him responsible for what's happened here, and forces them to live out this story. Now they're confounded about, is there a way to get out of it? Is there a way to change this? Because it's a set point in history, and so they try to manipulate it where there's several incidences where the townspeople just kill him, and Kirk says, well, yeah, that's murder, we can't do that. And he's maintaining the standards of respect of life in the hopes, obviously that the Melkotians will see this and that they're not violent people. But they're seeing this from your history and all that. So they look for ways to get around it. They tried to make a knockout gas, if you will, to knock them out, and that way it doesn't have to end in the shootout. But oddly enough, the knockout gas doesn't work, and McCoy's like, I don't understand it. I made it potent and everything. And this gives them the clues that, well, it's kind of obvious by just looking at their surroundings, that that it's all an illusion and none of it's real. Even though at one point, eventually, Chekhov gets killed. And, they're like, oh my God, this is really serious. And they're going to they're not going to have any choice, and they're all destined to die at the hands of the Earp gang. And then when with Spock, of course Spock says, if this is all an illusion, it didn't really happen. We say, but Chekhov's dead. Well, we believe it because that's part of the illusion. And then they go, can an illusion kill you, and all this. They don't really know, but they're going to take the gamble that it is all this, this is being projected into their minds, and it's not going to be real. So Spock is able to do this, but the rest of them really can't, so he has to mind meld with them and to help give them the little boost necessary to stand their ground and to not believe that the bullets are real. So the Earp gang shows up and fires on them, and of course they don't die and nothing happens. Then Kirk suddenly leaps in and starts beating the crap out of him. And then that's it. It kind of wraps up rather too quickly. And then the Melkoshian says, all right, we're convinced you're not a savage or violent people or what have you, and we'll begin talks, so come on down. So, and that's how it works. And, of course, Chekhov's fine, although Scotty is nowhere to be seen on the bridge at the end there. So, oh, no, he's fine. But so the concepts are good and everything, and it's a means by which to use a cowboy props, which were plenty. Gunsmoke was still going on at this point. And costumes and whatnot. He's talked about this quite a bit. There's a lot of shows, whatever, historical and other genres that are plentiful. You make use of those sets as well. Even though you're doing this space age show, you just make a story around that. And this is what they've done here, except on the cheap, as it is obviously on this soundstage situation. But it's a dreamlike sequence. None of it actually happened. It was projected into their minds and all that sort of thing. It does wrap up a little too quickly, and ultimately it's already been done. I mean, this is the plot of an alien species testing the Federation personnel and all this, whereas the same thing happened between Kirk and the Gorn captain in Arena, which was a much better episode. And they're captured by this godlike, there's plenty of godlike aliens out there of superior ability or technology, and tested them, and then ultimately the end's the same thing. Kirk says, I'm not going to kill him. And the same is here. I'm not going to kill him, and so he is a bit repetitious in that point. But it is a somewhat clever means by which they have to utilize what they've got. You don't have the money for anything more fantastic than that, and you keep it in this. Some of these things where there's other episodes still yet to be where it's always, American history or something along those lines that you have to say, well, Kirk's a big history buff or something like that, but it's only in the type of history that people at the time would be interested in. Stuff like that, even though eventually they get to an episode where, someone from Spock's past is there, and there's a guy who was considered a villain in the Federation's past, so that's a little better. But the idea that it's always going to be cowboys and stuff like that, and then gangsters in some of them. But, it's what they had. It's the utilization of sets that were ready-made, and it's a means by which to do that. And more times than not, that continues to this day. And certain shows, and when it's a show that's supposed to be a fantastic element of science fiction or magic or what have you, and that's what they do. And you would too if you were in their shoes. So it's a good episode, but it has its flaws, of course. I think it wraps up a little too quickly at the end there, and the ultimate outcome is pretty much top to bottom the same as Arena. So it's okay. It's not a bad episode, but it's more of the same in that aspect. So there you go. Specter the gun. You do get back and forth between your beloved characters of, Spock, Bones, and Kirk and all that. And that's always one of the saving graces of an episode that might not have been one of the best, but still enjoyable for that reason. Thanks for watching and listening. Say, while you're still here, why not like and subscribe and share with your many friends? Yes. Also, check out my mini stores in the link description below. Yes, where you can get t-shirts, hats, mugs, all those goodies with my artwork on them. Oh, yeah. And head over to indieplanet.com and pick up a copy of my comic book, Night Night. Oh, yeah. You can also catch me at my podcast, Mr Nailsin Show, on RadioMisfits.com. And you can also watch my videos on BitChute.com and now on Rumble.com. Oh, my goodness. So many places to watch me and my stuff. Oh, yeah. And if that's not enough for you, well, you can follow me on many social media platforms and say hi to your old pal, Mr. Nailsin.